Shalom, chosen ones. How are you? Genesis 6. Wickedness in the world. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters was born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Almighty God said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortals. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward. And when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children, by them they were the heroes of old, men of renown. The Almighty God saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Almighty God regretted that he made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Almighty God said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race, for I have created for with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regretted that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Almighty God. Pardon me, but God, I don't want you to regret making me. I don't want to only think about evil and only do evil. So that's why I repented of my sins, and I want to change my life. And when I stand before God, I don't want God to feel like I regret making you. I want God to be proud of me. And so therefore, I don't care what nobody else say or think about me. You are not who I have to answer to in the end. In the end, I have to answer to God. And I don't want God to regret me. Noah and the flood. And this is the account. Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Jehoshaphat, or Japhat. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on the earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them, and I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark, cypress wood, make rooms in it, and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Make a roof for it, leaving below the roof an opening 1 cubit high all around. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. I am going to bring flood waters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens. Every creature that has the breath of life in it, everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, and you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, and every kind of an animal, and every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. The Almighty God then said to Noah, go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. And Noah did all that the Almighty God commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came on the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, birds, and all the creatures that move along the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark as God had commanded Noah. And after the 7 days, the flood waters came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, and on the 17th day of the second month, on that day all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened, and rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And on that very day Noah and his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, together with his wife and the wives of his 3 sons, entered the ark. And they had with them every wild animal according to its kind. All livestock according to their kinds, every creature that moves along the ground according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, everything with wings, pairs of all kinds, all creatures that have the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing, as God had commanded Noah. Then the Almighty God shut him in for 40 days. The flood kept coming on the earth. As the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose increasingly greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth and more than 15 cubits. Every living thing that moved on the land perished: birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarm over the earth, and all mankind. Everything on dry land that had the breath of life in its nostrils died. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out. People and animals and the creatures that move along the ground and the birds were wiped from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark. The waters flooded in the earth for 150 days. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark. And he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. Now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of the heavens had been closed, and the rain had stopped falling from the sky. The waters receded steadily from the earth at the end of 150 cubits. The water had gone down, and on the 17th day, on the 7th month, the ark came to rest in the mountains of Ararat, and the waters continued to recede until the 10th month. And on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible. After 40 days, Noah opened a window, and he had made in the ark and sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up. From the earth. And then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find nowhere to perch, because there was water all over the surface of the earth. So it returned to Noah in the ark. He reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back to himself in the ark. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. And when the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return to him. By the first day of the first month of Noah's 601st year, The water had dried up from the earth. Noah then removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. And by the 27th day of the 7th month, the earth was completely dry. Then God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so that they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it." So Noah came out together with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives, all the animals and all the creatures that move along the ground and all the birds. Everything that moves on land came out of the ark, one kind after another. Then Noah built an altar to the Almighty God, and taking some of all the clean animals and clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offerings on it. Then the Almighty God smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, "Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, even though every inclination of the human heart is full of evil." It's evil. 28. Evil is full. The heart is evil from childhood. And never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. God's covenant with Noah. Then the Almighty God blessed Noah and his sons, saying to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth. The fear and dread of you will fall on the beasts of the earth and on all the birds in the sky and on every creature that moves along the ground and on all the fish in the sea. They are given into your hands. Everything that lives and moves about will be food for you, just as I gave you the green plants. I now give you everything, but you must not eat meat that has its life blood still in it. And as for your lifetime, I will surely demand an accounting, and I will demand an accounting from every animal and from each human being too. I will demand an accounting for the life of another human being. Whoever sheds human blood, by humans shall their blood be shed. For in the image of God has God made mankind. As for you, be fruitful and increase in number, multiply on the earth and increase upon it." Then God said to Noah and to his sons with him, "I now establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that was with you, the birds, the livestock, and all the wild animals, all those that came out of the ark with you. Every living creature on earth, I will establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth." And God said, "This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be a sign, the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all the living creatures of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind on the earth." So God said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant I have established between me and all life on the earth." The sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan, and these were the 3 sons of Noah. From them came the people who were scattered over the whole earth. Noah, a man of soil, proceeded to plant a vineyard, and when he drank some of his wine, he became drunk and laid uncovered inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his 2 brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it across their shoulders. Then they walked in backwards and covered their father's naked body. Their faces were turned the other way, so that they would not see their father's nakedness or father naked. When Noah awoke from his wine and found out what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers. He also said, praise be to the Almighty, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem. And may God extend Japheth's territory, and may Japheth live in the tents of Shem. And may Canaan be the slave of Japheth. And after the flood, Noah lived 350 years. Noah lived a total of 950 years, and then he died. The table of nations. This is the account of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Noah's sons, who themselves had sons after the flood. Japhethites, the sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madeh, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Titus. Or it could be Titus. The sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Ribtah, or Togarmah. The sons of Javan: Elisha, Tarshish, the Kittites, and the Rodanites. From these, the Martine people spread out into their territory by their clans within their nations, each with its own language. The Hamites, sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush: Sebud, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabtika. The sons of Ramah: Sheba and Dedan. Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Almighty God. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Almighty God. The first centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh in Shinar. From that land he went to Assyria, where he built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Aya, Kala, and Resen, which is between Nineveh and Kala, which is the great city. Egypt was the father of the Ludites, Anamites, Lehabites, Nephutites, and Phathusites, Casluhites, from whom the Philistines came, and Caphtorites. Canaan was the father of Sidon, his firstborn, and of the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hevites, Archites, Shenites, Arvadites, Zemorites, and Hamathites. Later, the Canaanite clans scattered, and the borders of Canaan reached from Sidon toward Jirah as far as Gaza, and then toward Sodom, Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboiim, as far as Lasha. And these are the sons of Ham by their clans and languages and their territories and nations. Semites. Sons were also born to Shem, whose older brother was Japheth. Shem was the ancestors of all the sons of Eber. The sons of Shem: Elam, Ashur, Aphrathatiax, Lux, Lud, and Aram. And the sons of Aram: Uz, Hul, Jethia, and Meshach. Ahaax was the father of Shelah, and Shelah the father of Eber. Two sons were born to Eber. One was named Peleg, because in his time the earth was divided. His brother was named Joktan. Joktan was the father of Almodad, Sheleph, Hazarmah, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Hafir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were sons of Joktan. And the region where they lived stretched from Mesha toward Saphar and the eastern hill country. These are the sons of Shem by their clans and languages, and their territories and nations. These are the clans of Noah's sons according to their lines of descent within their nations. From these the nations spread out over the earth after the flood. The Tower of Babel. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone and the tar from Mosier. And then they said, come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens. So that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered all over the face of the whole earth. But the Almighty God came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Almighty God said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do would be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they will not understand each other. So the Almighty God scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel. Babel. That is confusion. Because there the Almighty God confused the language of the whole earth. From there the Almighty God scattered them over the face of the whole earth, from Shem to Abram. And this is the account of Shem's family line. The 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Aksat. And after he became the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. And when Shelah had lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. And after he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. And when Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. And when Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. And when Reu had lived 32 years, he became the father of Shedug. And after he became the father of Shedug, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. And when Shedug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Shedug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. And when Nahor had lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. And after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. And after Terah had lived 70 years, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Abram's family, this is the account of Terah's family line. And at Terah, is one of them. Terah or Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran became the father of Lot, which his father Terah was still alive. And Haran died in Ur of the Chaldees. And in the land of his birth, Abram and Nahor birth married. The name of Abram's wife was Sarah, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran and the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarah was childless because she was not able to conceive. Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarah, and the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldees to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran. My condolences. The call of Abram. The Almighty God had said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's house to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the peoples on the earth will be blessed through you. So Abram went, and the Almighty God had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarah and his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shechem. And at the time of the Canaanites were in the land, the Almighty God appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar there to the Almighty God who had appeared to him. From there he went on toward the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Almighty God, and he called on the name of the Almighty God. Then Abram set out and continued toward the Negev. Abram in Egypt. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because of the famine was severe. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarah, I know what a beautiful woman you are, and when the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. And then they will kill me, but will let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarah was a very beautiful woman, and when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into his palace. He treated Abram well for her sake. And Abram acquired sheep and cattle and male and female donkeys and male and female servants and camels. But the Almighty God inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife Sarah. So Pharaoh summoned Abram. What have you done to me? He said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? So that I took her to be my wife. Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram and to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. Abram and Lot separate. Genesis 13. So Abram went up to Egypt to the Negev with his wife and everything he had, and Lot went with him. Abram had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. From the Negev he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai where his tent had been earlier, and where he had first built an altar. There Abram called on the name of the Almighty God. Now Lot was moving about with Abram, also his flocks and herds and tents. But the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together. And quarreling arose between Abram's herders and Lot's. The Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land at that time. So Abram said to Lot, let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herders and mine, for we are close relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left. Lot looked around and saw that the whole plan of the Jordan toward Zoar was well watered, like the gardens of the Almighty God, like the land of Egypt. This was before the Almighty God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself the whole plan of the Jordan and set out toward the east. The two men parted company. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against the Almighty God. The Almighty God said to Abram, after Lot had parted from him, look around from where you are, to the north and south and to the east and west. All the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring forever. I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. Go walk through the length and the breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. So Abram went to live near the great trees of Mamre in Hebron, where he pitched his tents. There he built an altar to the Almighty God. Abram rescues Lot. At the time when Amraphel was king of Shinar, Arioch, king of El-Lasir, Kedolamir, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim. These kings went to war against Bera, king of Sodom, Baisha. King of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemamba, or Shemiba, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoah. All these latter kings joined forces in the valley of Siddim, that is the Dead Sea Valley. For 12 years they had been subject to Gedolaomia, but in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and the kings allied with him went out and defeated the Rephaites and Ashteros, Karnaim and the Zuthites and Ham, the Emites and Shavet, Gerariathim and the Horites, in the hill country of Seir, as far as El Paran near the desert. Then they turned back and went to En Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and they conquered the whole territory of the Amalekites, as well as the Amorites who were living in Hazazion Thamir. Then the king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah and the king of Admah and the king of Zeboim and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, marched out and drew up their battle lines in the valley of Siddim against Gedolaomir, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of El-Lasir, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some of the men fell into them, and the rest fled to the hills. And the 4 kings seized all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their food. Then they went away. They also carried off Abram's nephew Lot and his possessions, since he was living in Sodom. A man who had escaped came and reported this to Abram the Hebrew. Now Abram was living near the great trees of Mamre, the Amorite, a brother of Eshcol and Aner, all of whom were allied with Abram. When Abram heard that his relative had been taken captive, he called out the 318 trained men born in his household and went in pursuit as far as Dan. During the night, Abram divided his men to attack them, and he routed them, pursuing them as far as Hobah, north Damascus, and he recovered all the goods and brought back his relative Lot and his possessions, together and with the women and the other people. After Abram returned from defeating Gedolaomir and the kings allied with him, and the king of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High, and he blessed Abram, saying, Blessed be Abram by the God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and praise be to God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand. Then Abram gave him a tenth of everything. The king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the people and keep the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom with raised hand, and have sworn an oath to the Almighty, to the LRD God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will accept nothing belonging to you, not even a thread or a strap or a sandal, so that I will never be able to say I made Abram rich.